Hello everyone, welcome back to Voidheart Studios, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Adventure Force Tactical Strike Delta Pro. The Delta Pro was released in 2026, retails for $14 just about, and is a spring-powered top prime revolver pistol that holds 6 darts. Let's get into the overview. Starting up at the front, there is no dart zone friction muzzle, but the exposed barrel can fit your dart zone, rifling attachments, and even some other attachments. You just have to have them in the mode where they can attach over exposed barrel. Going up from there, you have the top tactical rail, where you can mount any sort of sights or optics. Built into the top tack rail is the front sight, and it can actually be stowed away with a little click. And then you just push it back up, and it's now a usable sight. It also pairs with the little notch rear sight in the hand stop of the slide. Going down from there, you have the bottom rail where you could attach like a laser or a light or a foregrip or something. I mean, this thing is begging to be converted into a carbine, so I'm probably going to do that too. Going back from there, you have the cylinder. This cylinder is fully built into the blaster. You cannot remove it, you cannot swing it out, but it has 2 little channels running down the sides of the blaster to make it easier to load. Going up from there, you have the priming handle. To prime the blaster, you pull back, and then you push forward. I don't know why it doesn't have a spring return. The Outlaw had a spring return, and this is essentially just a top prime Outlaw, and it's a weird blaster, definitely. Going down from there, you have the safety. When you push it in on the left side, you cannot fire the blaster. When you push it in from the right side, pretty obvious. Blaster go pew pew. Down here, of course, is the grip and the trigger. Very comfortable blaster to hold and operate. But I also really like top prime. Some people don't, some people do. Most people really don't, but that's neither here nor there. The grip also feels really nice and comfortable. It feels like a blitz fire, honestly. Like a pro blitz fire. I honestly didn't even catch the Outlaw, like the Outlaw style barrel sealing mechanism until I really paid attention to it. But yeah, going back from there, you have the stock attachment point. This is a standard end strike stock attachment point, and you can put some of your end strike or dart zone stocks on there. I say some because it does have a pretty big compatibility issue that I'll talk about in the discussion segment later. And within the stock attachment point, there are 2 ports here. There is an upgrade kit that Dart Zone makes for this blaster. They sell it on their website, in which it allows you to put in friction set inserts and screw in a fixed buffer tube, which gives the blaster a power stock. This white circle here is also removable with the screw, and it accesses a little key on the inside. You turn that, and it reveals the spring. It's an easy spring swap. And you remove that key and the white circle entirely when you do the upgrade kit power stock mod. Well, looks like that's it for the overview. Let's see the blaster fire. All right, we are out on the range with the Delta Pro. Let's see it work. Got a target out at around 35 feet. And I'm first loaded up with Dart Zone Ember darts. Alright. Next up, we got Worker Gen 3 standard weight darts. These are the orange tip worker darts. Interesting. They were a little less accurate. Maybe a little slower. But I also don't have a muzzle device on here, so. Alright, and finally, we're going to be doing nitro shot darts. Oh. Couldn't this thing just have drop and swap cylinders? Alright. Let's go nitro. Not a bad shot with nitros. Alright. That is all of our shooting complete. Now we will take this back inside and talk about it. All right, we are back inside with the Delta Pro. Let's talk about it. Firstly, I put this blaster up over my chronograph and I achieved an average velocity of 128 FPS, which is the exact same as the Outlaw. This is a top prime Outlaw that feels like a Blitzfire. It's a very interesting blaster. But that's really all of the super practical stuff. Now let's talk about my opinion and the issues I've had with this blaster. Firstly, stock compatibility. I showed you it working with the Omnia stock, and it does work very well with the Omnia stock. It holds it very stably, and it still functions with the stock. But did you catch that? The slide goes over the stock attachment lug. So, you have to have a specific type of stock on there to work, for it to actually function. The Omnia stock and most Dart Zone stocks are perfect. They slide right under there because they have very low profile attachment lugs on the stock. But something like the Regulator stock or the AccuTrooper stock or the Raider stock just don't work at all. And this sucks because, well, the three stocks I've showed you are very popular stock platforms for N-Strike blasters and the blasters that take those stocks. So, with this blaster, you are pretty much relegated to only using Dart Zone stocks, which sucks. I don't like that. The other issue I have with this blaster is its size. Like, I get it. You know, Dart Zone is kind of in tune with the hobby, and of course, you know, they're going to release a mod kit that allows you to turn it into a carbine. Or that makes it easier to do so and makes it more powerful. It has, you know, a longer spring, a buffer tube that gives it a power stock, and a metal barrel compared to have better performance than the plastic one. But in its base form, which is what most people are going to buy it for, the size is completely impractical. This cannot fit in my holster. Meanwhile, here's the size compared to some other pistols of its platform. This is the Outlaw. This is my sidearm of choice. My Outlaw is a little bit long. Well, no, it's the same length, really. But the Outlaw is slim. It fits in my holster just perfectly. This is the Nerf Sweet Revenge. The Sweet Revenge also fits in my holster. And it is chunky, but it's still smaller than the Delta in terms of the barrel, the muzzle area. This blaster was meant to be a hand cannon or meant to be a hand cannon or a carbine, like a sub carbine. You know, you put a longer barrel or a P-car on it and a foregrip, and you know it's like those you know derpy looking Glock kits that turn it into a sub carbine. It's like that, but it's a 6-round revolver. So even then, that would make it like a revolver, like sniper carbine at that point, because you have such low capacity. Because usually pistol carbine conversions are mag-fed, and doesn't work as a hand cannon because it hits too damn soft. Like, usually if you want a hand cannon, because let's face it, most games are like, you know, 170, 200 cap events. If you want a hand cannon, and you really, really, really need a hand cannon, just blow the $55 and buy a volcanic. Just buy a volcanic if you need a hand cannon. It's mag-fed, so you can have more capacity. It hits a lot harder at 170 FPS stock. It has an upgrade kit with a better spring and a longer barrel. This blaster is weird. Like, if Dart Zone wanted a revolver carbine, they could have included it, the stock, included, you know, made a longer barrel or made it have a P-car on it and stuff like that. And, you know, made it a little more expensive. But I had the thought the other day that what if this blaster was not meant to be practical at all? You know, it's too big to be a practical sidearm, but it's, you know, hits too soft to be a hand cannon, has too low of a capacity to be a sub-carbine conversion. You know, what's the point? What if the point was for the Delta to be an entry-level Pro Blaster? Everything lines up there, you know. Very light prime for the performance it gets. I mean, the Brute gets similar performance, and the prime on it is much heavier. A simple mechanism, you know, just slide prime, revolver. It doesn't have slam fire, but that's whatever. And it's $15, $14 even. It has a plastic barrel, built-in sights. This is meant to be a gateway-level Pro Blaster. To have some semblance of customization, some semblance of cool, tactical nonsense, and to be cheap. So, you know, kids can get into, well, not kids, but like, you know, people who don't have maybe their own money, you know, 13, 14-year-olds who aren't working in any sort of way can, you know, be like to their parents, hey, you want to buy this Delta Pro? It's got that pro performance everyone's raving about, and it's only $15. And the mom will be like, okay, it's not much money, maybe we can get it. I'd love to have those type of parents. But yeah, it's a cheap, decent blaster. And for that, I don't mind it. Sure, it won't have much of a place in my regular loadout. It might just be a plinker or, you know, something I use in silly rounds. Remember to hydrate. But it's a good blaster. And it's a fun blaster, even then. You know, I rag on it for being too big and being, you know, awkward and having a very slow and inefficient means to reload. That's another thing. But in reality, despite all that, it's a solid blaster. It's a solid pistol to get people interested. It is a gateway. And if you are new to this side of the hobby and you want to know, like, okay, what's the basics of a Pro Blaster, and you don't have a lot of money and you don't want to spend a lot of money because, you know, you're not too terribly sure about it, get the Delta. Get the Delta. The upgrade kit costs just as much too, and then you'll get it to be hitting harder. And then at that point, you may have your decision made, like, okay, I want this stuff, and, you know, I want to get into this high-powered side of the you know, the community, of the hobby. And great. Then you can get a Nexus Pro X2. Then you can get an Aeon Pro X, and you can get an Outlaw, you know, and have a very practical and very, very functional pistol. I love my Outlaws. Would I recommend this to somebody that's, you know, a little more well-versed in the hobby? Maybe not as anything other than a mod project, because I'm sure it would be fun to turn this thing into a revolver, a low FPS revolver sniper carbine, because it's fun. But yeah, overall, semi-positive opinion on this blaster. And yeah, I really think that's all I need to say on the topic of it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And comment your favorite feature of the Delta Pro. I will leave buy links in the description to this blaster. If you want to buy it, it is a Walmart exclusive, so it'll be on walmart.com and hopefully in store. I never was able to find this in store. I had to order it online. But yeah, with all that said, I really hope to see you in the next one. And until next time, take care.